We're continuing with 4 minutes of Mishlei. We're up to Perek Tes Zayin, chapter 16. So in Pasuk Yud Zayin, it says in this Perek, Mesilas Yesharim Sur Meira. The path of the just avoids evil. It's the title, the name of the Sefer that Ramchal wrote, Rav Moshe Chaim Lutzato, Mesilas Yesharim. And it says in a later Pasuk Chaf Hey, Yesh derech yashar lifnei ish. There is a road, there is a way for the righteous person or for a person. Lifnei ish ve'acharisa darchi mavis. But at the end, then is the path towards death. So I want to just highlight clearly in the same Perek we have a phrase Mesilas Yesharim, and we have derech yashar, the path or the road. What is it? What's the difference between a path and a road? And why is there this seemingly a distinction when these words must mean something different? We're not just going to say, well, there's the path, there's the road. It must be a fundamental difference. So I once heard from a friend of mine, I believe it was at his Vart. I think the reason why it's called a Vart is because they say a Vart. They say a word, you say something. I don't know. But my friend spoke at his Vart. Now he's a rabbi. He's Rabbi Benjamin Kamenetsky. He's one of the rabbeim at Reshit. And in his Vart, he quoted Rav Beryl Gershenfeld. And Rav Beryl Gershenfeld, he contrasted two different works that the Ramchal wrote. One is the Mesilas Yesharim, and the other is Derech Hashem. So what's the difference? And what is the difference between a Mesila and a Derech? So he said the difference between a Mesila and a Derech is really whether you have a destination. A Mesila, as we know, the whole Sefer Mesilas Yesharim, we're learning it after Shacharis every morning, is a progression and an expansion from the Braisa and Avodah Zarah of Reb Pinchas ben Yair, Torah mive lidei zihiros, and then zihiros mive lidei zrizos. Torah brings us towards being careful, being aware, and then it brings us to alacrity. Zrizos mive lidei nikiyos. Alacrity brings us to a cleanliness, which is the wrong type, probably an oversimplification, but either way, there are rungs on the ladder, so to speak, of growth. I'm going from point A to point B to point C. That's a mesila. I know that I have to get from A to B, and I know that there's a certain way to get there, and that's my charting my path. However, derech, which is, my friend was originally, he was trying to explain why is marriage called a derech. The Gemara says that the marriage is referred to as a derech. Why is it a derech? Because when you get married, you're not just going from point A to point B. A way, a path, a derech is that we're now companions on the derech of life. We're not necessarily going any more particular place. Obviously, we'll have goals, we'll have missions. That's why there's mesila. There are things we have to do. But the reason why it's called a derech is because it's an approach to life. We're now joining a husband and a wife, get married, they're going to be on the derech of life with each other, with companionship. So that's the difference perhaps between mesila, which is a specific destination, point A to point B, and a derech, which is we're now going on this path of life together. We need both in life. We need directional movement. We have goals, point A to point B to point C, but we also need companionship and a mode of feeling that we belong, that we are together. We have a goal, but we also need to know that regardless of the destination, but we are together, and in that way we can traverse all of life's many roads and paths.